Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my everyday makeup routine, and yeah, if you're interested, just keep on watching. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my Morphe brow pencil, and this is in the shade Chocolate Mousse. I'm just brushing out my brows, and then I'm going to fill my brows in, and I usually fill them in by just drawing a line at the bottom of my brow, and then also drawing a line at the top of my brow, and then just filling in between with feather strokes. Okay, so once I get to the beginning of my brow, I start to draw little feather strokes at the top of my brow just to give it a little bit more of a hairy look. So yeah, I'm just filling in the beginning of my brow, just going stroke by stroke and creating the fading effect. And then I grab my finger just to wipe off the excess eyeliner. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking my Huda Beauty foundation actually, and this is in the shade Cinnamon, and I'm just taking that on a small flat concealer brush from Morphe and dragging it across the top of my brow to conceal. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking the same foundation and I'm going to be dragging it underneath my brow as well. I don't usually like to use the lighter concealer right at the beginning of my brow because sometimes you can see the actual concealer right underneath it and it just doesn't look natural to me. So I like to blend the two concealers and the foundation at the bottom of my brow. And so now you're going to be seeing me using the light concealer, which is from Juvias Palace. And this is in the number 3 shade, I believe. I'm not too sure. But I am using a square Morphe brush, like the small skinny square Morphe brush. And I'm dragging that underneath my brow and I'm dragging it down to blend. But yeah, I'm going to use that as my highlighting concealer just so everything kind of blends and comes together a little bit more. Now, after I've taken that concealer down and blended it out a little bit, I'm going to be taking a dome brush from Morphe as well, and I'm just going to be blending all of that out and into my skin. Yeah, so after blending everything out, I'm just using some patting motions and also some swiping motions to get everything even. And so then I'm going to be taking my dome brush and kind of splitting in between both of my brows. And I just do that because sometimes I can have like a unibrow between there. So I just swipe down and I tap the dome brush in the beginning of both of my brows just to even fade them off a little bit more. So now I'm going to be taking my Pond's cream moisturizer. I love this moisturizer. It is so creamy and it leaves my skin so soft. So yeah, I'm just going to be rubbing it in with my hands and moisturizing my skin. Yes, now I'm going to be taking this Milk primer. I got it from Sephora. It was a free gift, so I'm not too sure what kind of primer it was, but this primer is actually pretty sticky, but I think it works pretty well so far. So now I'm going to be taking my Huda Beauty foundation that I was using earlier before, and I'm just taking a big dome brush and I'm just patting that into my skin. I believe this is, oh, I already said the shade. This is in the shade Cinnamon. Now I'm going to be taking a little bit more of the Huda Beauty foundation. This foundation is full coverage supposedly, but I felt like I could have used a little bit more coverage. So I'm just taking a few more pumps and patting that into my skin and blending it out. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking that same concealer that I used underneath my brows, which is the Juvias Place or Palace, whatever concealer, and I'm going to be highlighting the usual areas of my face, underneath my eyes, on the top of my forehead, on my nose, my Cupid's bow, and also on my chin. Now I'm going to be taking my Julep, I believe is the brand. It's a cream to blush stick, I believe, but it's in the shade Warm Bronze. And this is kind of going to act as a slight contour for me. So it's not as dark as my usual contour, but I just use this so my darker contour will blend a little bit better. And I'm going to be taking a Morphe brush to blend all of that out. Okay, so after I have let my concealer kind of dry and get a little tacky, I'm going to be patting that in with a tapered dome brush, I would want to say, from Morphe. And I'm going to be blending in my concealer with patting motions. Okay, so after I've blended out all of that concealer kind of fades into like my natural skin tone. So I like to go in with my Fenty concealer. It just is a little bit brighter or a little bit lighter than the Juvia's Palace one, and I wanted my under eye just to be a little bit more highlighted. So I'm going to use that just underneath my eyes, and I'm going to blend that out as well. Okay, so after everything is blended, I'm going to use my holy grail. Like, this is the absolute hands down best setting powder out there. I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier setting powder in the shade Translucent, and I'm basically going to be setting my whole face, but I'm really going to be focusing underneath my eyes. Okay, now it's time for contouring. This is also one of my favorite contours by Morphe. It's their Brontour in the shade Fantabulous. This contour is so pretty because it has such a warm undertone, and it's really kind of orangey red, which I feel like complements my skin tone the best. So I'm just taking that and putting it in the hollows of my cheekbones, on the top of my forehead, underneath my chin, on the sides of my nose, you know, the usual places that you would contour. And I'm just blending that out. Now I'm going to be cutting my contour with my Laura Mercier powder. I'm just getting a pointed, tapered brush, I would say, from Morphe, and I'm just grabbing a lot of that powder on the brush and dragging it underneath, like making a line underneath my contour just to make it way more crisp, and connecting that kind of towards the corners of my mouth. I also take a little bit left over from the brush, and I just pat underneath my eyes, on the bridge of my nose, just to make sure everything's patted in and blended well. Okay, now I'm going to be taking my Milani blush girl, and I'm going to be patting that on the apples of my cheeks. This is kind of like a rose goldy blush, so it kind of has a smidge of highlight in it, which I absolutely love. It's super pink, super rosy, and yeah, I kind of go a little bit overboard with blush sometimes, but this one's kind of soft, so it doesn't look too harsh. Okay, now I'm going to be using my Morphe setting mist, which is another one of my favorite products, and I'm going to be spraying that all over my face and letting that kind of get a little sticky. But while it's still wet, I'm going to be taking my Juvias Palace loose highlighter, and I believe this is in the shade Nefereitti. I really like this highlighter. It's like a light champagne gold. So for my everyday look, I don't try and blind with highlighter, so I kind of like for my highlighter to kind of melt into my skin and just let it be a little bit of a glow. So I kind of take it on the little bit of my forehead, on the above of my brows, and I put a little bit more on my cheeks because I do like a good amount of highlighter, but I just want it to be a little bit more subtle. So now I'm taking a small fan brush from Morphe, and I use that brush to kind of get on the bridge of my nose and my cupid's bow, and then I'm going to dust a little bit of the highlighter on the brow bone. Now I spray my face once again with my Morphe setting spray to set my highlight into my skin, just to make it look a little bit more like skin. So now I'm going to be getting a little bit of the Laura Mercier powder, and I'm dusting that over my eyelids to prep for eyeshadow. So I'm going to be using the Jackie Aina palette, and I tried to show you guys the name of that, but I couldn't really get the name, but I believe that's the shade Ginger in her new palette. And I'm going to be taking the brush that comes along with that palette and just focusing that in the crease of my eye and blending it out tremendously. I'm super blending this shade out. Yeah, this shade is like a light orange shade, like a light orange with a hint of brown in it. So it's perfect for everyday look because it's nothing too harsh, but it's also something that says, hey, I have eyeshadow on. So I'm just going to be taking that really kind of basically all over my lid and then just super blending it out through my crease. Then I take that same shade and I drag it underneath my lash line and smoke that out pretty well. And yeah, this just gives me a little bit of a smoked out look. And I'm just going back and making sure everything is blended and that there's no harsh lines. Now I'm going to be taking my Morphe palette. I'm not sure what kind of palette this is. I'll put all of the items listed in the description box. But the shade that I'm using is just like a light cream shade from the Morphe palette, and it's a matte color as well. I don't use anything shimmery when I'm doing my everyday look. So I'm just taking that cream shade and putting it on my eyelid and blending it out with the brown shade that I had used already, and just making sure everything kind of just comes together. And yeah, I'm just going to pat that on and make them mesh. Okay, my camera had cut off right here, but all I did was put on a couple coats of mascara, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some lashes on. So these are actually my own personal lashes that I sell. So if you guys are interested in getting some lashes from me, all of the links and stuff will be in the description box. And yeah, I am a crackhead when it comes to putting on lashes sometimes, because as you can see, I have a lot of lashes that just be kind of laying around somewhere. So I kind of get my lashes mixed up. So I was just trying to see if this was the right or left lash, but I think I kind of got it together. Yeah, got it together then. Then I take some mascara and put some on the bottom of my lashes. The bottom lashes? The bottom lashes? Yeah, the bottom lashes. And I just do a couple of coats of that. So I'll put one coat on and then I'll let it dry, you know, and then I'll put another coat on just to give me like the spidery lash look, which I love. Now we're prepping for lippity gloss. So I'm just wiping off the makeup that I got on my lips with a wet makeup wipe. And I'm going to go ahead and line my lips with my Morphe pencil. And I believe this is in the shade Toastie. So yeah, I'm going to be drawing a little bit over my natural lip line, just a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going to be lining my lips all over. Lastly, I'm going to be putting on lip gloss. This is the Fenty Glow lip gloss, and I'm going to be putting that all over my lips. That completes my everyday makeup routine, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. If you like seeing videos like this, let me know. I will be listing all of the products in the description box for you guys. And yeah, see you in another video.